Hello everybody and welcome back to the fifth and final episode of our tutorial mini-series on how to build a starter house that doesn't suck. And today we're going to be taking a look at interior decorating. Now in the previous 4 episodes we took a look at planning, building, texturing and detailing our starter house. So if you haven't done so yet, be sure to head over and check those out as well. But right now we're going to get started, and by the time we're finished, our starter house should be ready to move in. So let's get started on the interior. And we're going to get started in the bedroom upstairs. So the first thing you'll need to do is think about a few things that you will actually find in your real world bedroom. Things like a bed, a nightstand, a cupboard, and of course storage of some sort. Now we don't have a lot of space, so we don't need to cram it full of unnecessary junk. Just the basics will do. But I think first things first, we're going to be starting with the ceiling. And we're going to be installing a beautiful birch ceiling. Now we're using half slabs for 2 reasons. Firstly, mobs can't spawn on it, so we won't end up with a ceiling full of monsters. And secondly, it'll help us to cut down on building materials. So let's just get this one in place, and there we have it. Our ceiling is in. Next up, we better make sure that we don't fall down the stairs, so we need to put up a guardrail of some sort. Now of course you have a few options here. Some iron railings is designed for exactly this scenario. However, it doesn't quite look right. It blends in a little bit too well with the wall, so we're going to be replacing that with some oak fencing. And I think that looks much better, both from a visibility point of view, and personally I prefer the chunky look of the fencing. So next up, we're going to be installing a cupboard over here, and for that we're going to be using some chiseled bookshelves. And just 2 right over there should do it. Now I want to add a door to the closet, but in order to do that I will need to stand on the other side of the slab, so let's just take care of that. There we go, door is in, and then we can replace our chiseled bookshelves. And there we go, we have a closet that can open and close, and it is looking rather good. So next up, we'll probably get busy and add the bedroom basics. And first up is a bed. We've put it down over there so we can walk around it without having to climb over it. We can still open and close the closet. So now is the time for us to add a little nightstand. And for that we're going to be using a barrel. So we're just putting the barrel down over there. Let's put a chest in this corner just for some extra personal storage where we can keep all of our valuables. But it's important to have enough storage, and as everybody knows, you can never have enough. So let's put up some barrels on this wall over here. That'll frame the window nicely and give us plenty of storage space. Then for some decoration, I'm going to add some trapdoors to the bottom of these barrels. Now these do absolutely nothing, they're purely for aesthetics, and I think that looks like a good storage space. Now as you can see, our bedroom is becoming full very quickly, so I think that's enough furniture. Let's start with a few decorations. And on this wall I want to put some paintings, but I don't want to put a 2x2 painting because that would just be super lazy. So instead we're going to put down a few temporary blocks, and these will limit the size of the paintings, and we want to put 2 1-block paintings right over there. And once we get rid of the temporary blocks, you will see that they give the impression of a carefully curated art collection. So there we go, paintings are in, and let's see what else we can add. Now I think I'm going to add a little bit of carpet. Not too much though, because we don't want to fill up the entire area, but just that little bit of carpet next to the bed where you would put your feet first thing in the morning and last thing at night is now no longer a cold, hard wooden floor, and will feel much better on your feet after a long day. So next up, we need to add just a little bit of a night light, and for that we're going to be using a few candles right there on our nightstand next to the bed. So that will shed some light when we're lying in bed reading late at night, but we also need a proper light in the room to keep the monsters from spawning. So 1 lantern in the middle should do just fine. Now we can't place any decorations on top of the chest over here because the chest is not a full block, which means anything we put on top of it will look like it's floating. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to replace this chest with a barrel because I desperately want to get some plant life in here. And we're just going to put a flowering azalea sapling in that corner over there. And then I feel like we need just a little bit of plant life in the other corner as well. So we're going to start off by adding some trapdoors. Now remember, this is a fantasy house in a fantasy world, so not everything has to be 100% realistic or useful even. Because I just want to add some leaves in that corner. I have no idea how it's staying there or what it's doing there or why it's even there in the first place, but it looks good. And I want to add some more. So let's pop another one in there. Let's move these trapdoors around and there we go. We've got a little bit of green going on right above our bed, which will give us some beautiful fresh oxygen. And right behind these rails, I'm going to add that chest that I removed earlier. It's hidden out of sight, but we can still access it very easily. And then finally, just a few splashes of color around the room to turn it into a very pleasant space. And that would do it for our upstairs bedroom. I think this is looking rather fancy. Next, we're moving into the kitchen. And we need to think, what does a kitchen need? It needs a place to store some food, it needs a place to cook some food, and most importantly, a place to wash up. So let's get started with the cooking element, and we're going to place down 2 campfires right there at the bottom to create some smoke. And on top of that, we'll add our oven stove combo, which is just a smoker. And there you can see the smoke is traveling through the smoker, which gives the impression that it is actually cooking something. And next to that, we'll add a little countertop where we can prepare the food. And in the corner, we'll put our wash basin, which is really just a cauldron. Now let's get started and add some more storage. And we're going to start in this corner over here, and we're going to be adding, you guessed it, some more barrels, because barrels are awesome. Now we'll just put 2 more in this corner over here, and then you'll see we've got a little bit of a smoke problem. It has nowhere to go, so we need to rectify that with a cooker hood or extractor of some sort. And for that, we're going to be using some andesite walls right over there, and we're going to put some iron trapdoors at the bottom. Now you can see the smoke is rising to the extractor and being pushed to the outside. Now next up, we're going to add some cooking plates on top of our stoves, and there we go. Now what this also does is it limits the amount of smoke that comes through, so we don't have an absolute barrage of smoke billowing up. When I remove them, you'll see it looks like something is burning rather than cooking. You can also use some wooden trapdoors if iron is scarce, but the iron trapdoors just give a much better look. So let's replace those, and then the flow of smoke is much more controlled. We will also need to add a tap to our wash basin, and for that we're going to be using a simple tripwire hook up against the wall, and that completes the functional aspect of our kitchen. So it's time for some decorating, and I've been trying to put a countertop of some sort in here. However, our space is simply too limited. As you can see, when I do put in a counter, it blocks most of our kitchen, and the space behind it is too small to move around in. So let's remove that and think of something else. And with that in mind, I'm going to put a bench on this end of the kitchen because we don't want to clog up the middle and hide all of our beautiful work from view. So if we have some place to sit down and enjoy a meal, we'll need a table of some sort, and I'm gonna try and see if we can fit a little table over here. Just some upside down stairs. I'll put one over there, and then put a slab in the middle. And that just completely blocks the entire kitchen. This is not going to work at all, so I'll be removing it, and I think we need to go a bit simpler. Which means I'll be going with a classic post and trapdoor table right there in the middle. It's not much space, but I'm going to be living here alone for the foreseeable future, so it's enough for me. Now you can play around with a lot of the elements in your kitchen, see what works and what doesn't. Don't be afraid to add some stuff because you can always remove it if it doesn't work. And next up we'll be adding a little bit of greenery in the kitchen. A simple composter with some leaves on top makes a beautiful bush. And now that we've got most of the elements in place for our kitchen, let's move to the adjacent area, and we're firstly going to add just a few bushes in here as well. And then I think we should take a look at these pillars because they are looking rather boring in comparison to our kitchen. And just some simple trapdoors is a good start, but I think we can do much more. And there we go, we've added some chiseled stone blocks, some oak pillars instead of the stone, and then an iron trapdoor with some stone stairs right at the top. Now you can also play around with these elements, see what works best, what fits best. So I'm going to add some oak stairs instead of the stone stairs, and I definitely think the stone stairs looked better. So let's replace those, and our pillars are now looking absolutely gorgeous, which makes me feel that there is a little bit more work to be done in the kitchen itself. Now we don't have much space to add any more things, but we can do some decorating, and we're starting with a little fern in a pot here, which could look like some herbs that we're growing to season our food. And I think this wall also needs a little bit of love, so let's get some paintings in there. And once again we're going to place down a few temporary blocks in order to limit the painting to 1 block in size, and then we're going to do the same over here. So let's get the temporary blocks in, place our painting, and just look at that, a bit more curated art. On this side I think we're going to copy what we've done in the bedroom, and we're going to be adding some leaves up there. So let's pop those into place, and then we'll cap it off with a trapdoor on this side, but that's cutting into that big bush over there, so let's make the bush smaller. And then I think we have the space to add 1 more leaf over there. So let's get the trapdoor in, and there we go, a lovely bit of greenery for our kitchen. Now I want to add a little bit of variety, so I'm going to get some flowering azalea leaves. As I said in our texturing video, moss is awesome, and it also gives you some azalea bushes, azalea leaves, and those can be used to great effect. Now our kitchen is almost complete, just a few more chops and changes. I'm going to add some azalea leaves in that corner over there, and then I'm going to remove the barrel on the other side, and that just accentuates our cooker hood in the middle. This barrel then needs to be turned facing this way, and I'm going to remove that door, which just didn't work out at all. And with that, our kitchen is done. Now this space was intended to be our storage area, and I've got an idea of what I would like to do here, but I have to think on it just a little bit longer. So let's move into the foyer. And to start off, I'm going to put down some chiseled bookshelves right next to the door. I'm going to add a lectern as well, and in that corner I'll be adding a little something special. But on this side we'll need some more storage, and for that we'll be grabbing a few more barrels. So let's put down those barrels over there. And because this is a very small area, we don't need to add all that much, but we do need to add an awesome armor stand over there. And on this side I think I'm going to put a little table, and I'll be using some birch stairs just to make it stand out from the oak around it. And there we go, a flower pot with a flower in it. And over here we're going to be adding an item frame, and I'm going to put a book and quill. Next up we need to add the ceiling. Once again, bottom slabs to prevent monsters from spawning, and as you can see I've also lit up the ceiling area to stop bats from spawning in there, as they can become quite annoying. Then we can add a few more decorations which tells our story. I'm gonna go for a skeleton head and a zombie head over there. You can put literally anything you want in those item frames. And then I think maybe over here we need some colorful banners. Put 2 down on that side, and I'm gonna reverse their order on this side. And that is looking absolutely fantastic. Then we need to add a few pieces of armor to our armor stand, of course, and we're adding a helmet, we'll be adding some boots, and then we'll be adding a chest piece, and we're leaving the leggings off on purpose, just so we can see that it is actually an armor stand and not just some statue. A few books need to be added to our chiseled bookshelves over here, that'll do. And then finally I think we need to add a little bit of a carpet in the entrance here. And we're going to go with some beautiful yellow carpets, and we're just filling up the room like that. And there we go, our entrance is done. Next up, let's take a look at our storage area. Now this is quite small, and of course we can fill this up with barrels or chest or something like that, but I think we're going to be needing a lot more storage than we can cram into this tiny little space. So what we're going to be doing is digging a basement for our storage and crafting area. And we're going to be doing that right over here underneath the other stairs. We're going to have some stairs going down here, and then underneath the house we're going to have a decent sized storage and crafting area. So first up, let's get some stairs in here. And with our staircase in place, we can start working on the actual basement. So we're going to start by digging out the room right here. And we want it to be a decent sized room because we're not only going to put a load of chests down here, but we're also going to add all of the basic crafting blocks that we'll be needing. And now that the room is dug out, we're just lining all of the walls with some stone. So let's dig out the ceiling, make sure we don't have any dirt showing, and then we'll line the entire thing with stone and give it a nice ceiling as well. And the ceiling is in. As you can see, we went with some oak slabs, and our room is ready to be decorated. First things first, I think we need to add a little bit of light down there, because this can get very dangerous very quickly. So let's hang a lantern right there, and let's get started. First up, we'll do some texturing on the walls in the basement, and we're going to start off with just a little bit of tuff. Next up, some mossy stone bricks, some mossy cobblestone, and all of the other goodies that we've used all over the house so far. So let's get a few more of these blocks in here. I think 1 or 2 on this wall, and then perhaps just 1 or 2 more over here. And then as a final touch, just a few pieces of gravel, just to give us that extra bit of texture and color. And with our walls in the basement completed, we're now going to do the same all the way up the stairs. So some mossy bricks, some mossy cobblestone, and we'll be done in no time at all. And seeing as this is a storage area, it's time to add some chests, and we're adding them lengthwise just to get more storage per block, and we'll be doing 3 layers of chests. We also need a smelting area, so we'll add some furnaces in the corner there. And over here, we're going to be putting down our crafting blocks. A crafting table, a smithing table, and an anvil. And that is mostly what we will be needing throughout the game. And with all of our crafting blocks in place, we're going to do some work on the floor. And first things first, we're going to start off by adding just a few blocks of stone bricks. Then of course, we'll switch over to some mossy stone bricks. We'll add some mossy cobblestone and perhaps a few bits of tuff as well. Next, we'll need somewhere where we can display our handiwork, and we're going to add a bunch of armor stands, a few portraits of beautiful scenery to keep us motivated, and then finally some item frames, and in those we're going to put stuff like an axe, a helmet, and a sword. And that is our basement and crafting area all done and looking gorgeous. And now we just need to add a few final touches, like for instance on the porch we're going to add a table and some chairs, someplace where we can sit and watch the sunrise. We're also going to add a few plants up here, so composter and some leaves on top to make a lovely bush. I think we're going to add another one with some flowering azalea leaves in that corner. Over here, I think we need a barrel so we can put a flower pot on top, and then we'll put another flowering azalea sapling in there. And in this corner, we're going to put down a flower pot on the floor and go for something different, like perhaps a jungle sapling. So let's get that jungle sapling in there. And with that, our house is finally done. As you can see, we have a beautifully decorated entry foyer. We have a functioning kitchen. We also have a large storage area with a bunch of work blocks that we can use to craft everything we need. And of course upstairs we have a beautiful bedroom where we can come and enjoy a good night's sleep after a long day's work. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of our tutorial mini-series on how to build a Minecraft starter house that doesn't suck. I do hope you enjoyed this series. Leave a like if you did, and if you want to make sure you catch any series in the future, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But this is Fungusaurus Rex saying until next time, beautiful people, stay awesome. Bye bye.